Hi everyone, my name is Steph and Ulivieri. I'm a global ambassador with Youth for Nature. We are a global youth-led organization that is advocating towards knowledge sharing, capacity building, and storytelling in this nature, biodiversity, and climate space. And we're here at New York Climate Week exactly to bring these voices and these perspectives and knowledge to New York, but also back to our communities and empower our local actions towards achieving positive climate and biodiversity action. I have heard about it a few months ago, actually, for the first time, through a personal connection, a friend of mine that is working on it, and she's also a youth activist working on it. But prior to that, I had never heard about it before. I think SRM is associated to the world of possibilities and also challenges associated to these new cutting-edge technologies that are trying to slow down or even hinder the worst impacts of climate change. I think when we're talking about governance, it's really important to take into account what is governance, right? So it's bringing into decision-making a broader range of stakeholders that goes beyond just government. So including really different groups, also those that are going to be most affected by it. And I think that's exactly the point why it's so important. It's something that is cutting edge, that we are unsure of the long-lasting consequences or how it affects the world as a whole. And that's why we need governance. We need people to come together, sit and discuss how they're going to deal with this. And what do we want to do with it? Do we want to move on and continue researching? Do we want to stop this? If so, what are the good and bad possibilities to take into account, the challenges associated? So I think that's why bringing into discussion and kind of seeing how to work together on this topic is so important. I think first of all, the baseline is that we're going to be the ones living long term with solar radiation modification. So whatever happens now, for the best and for the worst, we were going to be with the brunt of that. Second, and very importantly as well, it's that young people have the knowledge and the skills that are also fundamental to continue developing these technologies or not. We're not just experts in being youth. We're also experts in our areas, in geoengineering, in geography, in history, in politics, in anthropology. We are experts and we have knowledge that is valuable, and it also has to be put to good use to kind of make this governance more inclusive and just. I think I'm more worried about how this can be used as a geopolitical weapon, because of course we have countries and there is inequality across the world, so not all countries have of course the same capacity to engage with these kind of technologies, and we do not know the long-lasting effect. So I can do something now that I believe is good in a small scale, but when we do it in a global scale or in a larger scale, it can have negative impacts to myself and also to other countries. So I think this kind of uncertainty and lack of information is a little bit unsettling, because it's not a 1 + 1 is equals 2, right? It's still like dwelling in uncertainty. And I think that's a bit the worrying part about it. I think as Youth for Nature, for example, this is interesting. We don't have a positioning about these kind of technologies, specifically solar radiation modification, just because we don't feel like we have knowledge about it. We don't know it enough to be pro or against it. We're still undecided. Absolutely. I think it's really important to see where nature is placed in all of this, where is justice placed in all of this, where is community placed in all of this. We as Youth for Nature, for example, we struggle to building these kind of futures that take into account all of these factors, so climate, nature, biodiversity, collectives, to make sure it is a just future for everyone. I think something that unsettles me, for example, is the fact that companies or countries would just continue polluting and kind of putting a band-aid onto their actions, just saying, oh, we're going to be able to solve it with this kind of technologies later on with solar radiation modification. And this doesn't really lead to the bottom of the problem, right? It's not talking about systems change, which is effectively what we need. I think we need to be an institutionalized part of decision making when it comes to this kind of governments. No tokenistic place at the table, just like a checkbox of like we have a young person here, but actually part of this decision making body. Should there be a governance body that at national, regional, and international level? Because that's the only meaningful way to engage and to make sure that we have the space to raise our concerns and to be heard and to actually have decision making capabilities.